this A6 e-Tron, Audi reinvents its executive contender as a sleek EV, offered in both Sportback and Avant estate forms. It aims to set new segment standards for driving range and charging speed thanks to its advanced 800-volt architecture. With a high-end cabin to match, it's a compelling package designed to worry established rivals.
This is the A6 e-Tron, a completely new kind of full executive Audi. Prior to this car's launch in mid-2024, the intention was that this all-electric model would be the new face of this Ingolstadt maker's long-running A6 model line. Back then, the plan was that the brand would, in the short term, continue to offer combustion-powered cars in this segment, but would badge them separately as A7 designs. In early 2025, though, new Audi CEO Gernot D led a last-minute change of mind on this subject as, under his leadership, the brand recommitted to combustion engineering for the latter part of this decade and decided that going forward it would offer customers in this class two very different kinds of A6 badged Audis. EV folk are targeted with Sportback and Avant versions of this all-electric e-Tron model. We have the Sportback here today. Alternatively, those who are still stubbornly committed to fossil fuel get saloon and Avant versions of a separate petrol and diesel powered design. As we said, it's this e-Tron EV model, which is our focus here, which shares nearly all its engineering with the brand's Q6 e-Tron SUV, a car we reviewed for you a few months back now. As with the Q6, this car employs an advanced 800-volt electrical architecture and premium platform electric chassis package jointly developed with Porsche. And the hatch and estate-based models that are created from it could hardly have a wider market reach. Rivals could be anything from a Mercedes EQE to a BMW i5 or a Porsche Taycan. You can find out more about this kind of model by downloading the Car and Driving app. If your interest is specifically in this A6 e-Tron though, you'll need to stay with us for the industry's most comprehensive review, the Car and Driving Road Test. It's interesting what the EV revolution can get brands to do. For decades, Audi's chosen not to follow its BMW and Mercedes rivals in the full executive segment by delivering a car with rear-wheel drive. Previous A6 models have always been front or four-wheel driven, but this one is fundamentally designed to drive from the rear, and it prioritizes drive from the rear even when, in top models, an extra motor is added onto the front axle to create a quattro four-wheel drive system. It is really quite a turnaround in engineering policy for Audi. Predictably, to get the best EV range figure, you'll need to focus on a rear-driven single motor model though, like the one we're trying here. All A6 e-Trons are extremely competitive when it comes to the mileage that you're actually going to get between charges, as you would expect from a design that claims to establish a new milestone in aerodynamics for the brand. A lot of that is also down to the weight saving, which is built into the drivetrains, and also the PPE premium platform architecture that they sit on. Although this is all relative, of course, even in two-wheel drive form, this A6 e-Tron still weighs 2,260 kilos. Across the Sportback and Avant body styles, 4 different powertrains are being offered, with 2 single motor options and a couple of quattro dual motor setups. At the foot of the lineup, the standard rear-driven A6 e-Tron offers a rear axle-mounted 326 PS electric motor with 423 Nm of torque. Energy comes from an 83 kilowatt-hour battery, 75.8 kilowatt-hours of that is usable, and that provides a WLTP rated range of up to 384 miles in the Sportback or 363 in the Avant. Even with that base model, acceleration is brisk. The 0 to 62 miles an hour sprint is dispatched in 7 seconds or 6 seconds with launch control engaged, and that's en route to the 130 miles an hour maximum that all the mainstream models share. If you're attracted by an A6 e-tron though, you're probably going to want instead to upgrade yourself to the slightly more potent mid-level performance model that we're trying here. This gains a larger 100 kilowatt hour battery, 94.9 kilowatt hours of that is usable. Even though that energizes a powerful rear motor, output is up to 380 PS with 565 newton meters of torque. That bigger battery enhances driving range an awful lot. This A6 e-tron performance model is able to travel up to an impressive and class-leading, incidentally, 464 miles between charges in Sportback form or 438 in an Avant. That's as long as you don't make too regular use of all the extra grunt on offer. There's plenty of it, with 62 miles an hour just 5.4 seconds away in this variant. Earlier we mentioned the dual motor quattro drivetrains, which as you'd expect use the larger 100 kilowatt hour battery too. In this case it energizes not only a permanently engaged motor at the back, but also an added asynchronous motor at the front. And in the case of the A6 e-tron Quattro, that means 462 PS and 580 newton meters of torque. That enables the car to surge from 0 to 62 in a mere 4.7 seconds or 4.5 with launch control. Yet that model can still cover a very useful 438 miles between charges. If that's somehow not fast enough, the top S6 e-tron offers all the acceleration you could reasonably want. It tweaks the Quattro system's output even further to boost it to 503 PS or as much as 551 PS if you engage launch mode. That provides for a 0 to 62 miles an hour time of 4.1 seconds or 3.9 seconds with launch control. That's en route to 149 miles incidentally. Best possible driving range for the S6 is a very respectable 407 miles for the Sportback or 391 for the Avant. Audi has engineered in a variable torque distribution system that's to improve drive dynamics and agility. If you want even more of that, then there's an even faster full EV RS6 model that's planned to join the lineup later in the production run. Here though, our focus is on the more conventional A6 e-tron models, which you'll need to realise the most impressive EV range figures. Those are aided by electric motors, which in comparison to the earlier generation units fitted to the old Q8 e-tron, not only deliver 33% greater performance, but also offer 62% more power density. The quoted range results do of course assume selection of the most frugal of the available drive select drive modes, efficiency. The others of course are comfort, dynamic and individual. And those mileage stats also assume driver familiarity with the advanced two-stage energy recuperation system too. This is operated via paddles mounted here on the steering wheel. This setup allows the driver to choose the level of regenerative braking, with the fiercest setting offering one pedal driving as it harvests up to 220 kilowatts of energy back into the batteries as the car slows down. Apart from range, the other development focus points here have been ride and refinement. That PPE platform is based around a subtle and sophisticated 5-link front and rear suspension setup. It's pretty good in the passive dynamic spec, we have it here. That's just as well because there's no adaptive option for the coil sprung setup, and the alternative air sprung adaptive system with its automatically adjusting ride height and dynamic damper control is only fitted to the top S6 variant. As for refinement across the A6 e-tron lineup, well, that is pretty much class leading actually, not only because of the near silent electric powertrain, but also due to the standard fitment of acoustic glazing for the windscreen and the front windows, which effectively isolates the cabin from wind and road noise. And drive dynamics, well, any heavy large EV is obviously compromised to some extent with these, but this one's been carefully tuned to dial out body roll and to maximize maximise grip from the Michelin Pilot Sport EV tyres. As usual in any big Audi, well, almost any Audi actually, the steering could do with a bit more feel, but it is precise and accurate. The A6 e-tron ushered in a new era of Audi design. Ingolstadt claims it establishes a new milestone in aerodynamics for the brand, harking back to last century models from the marque like the Auto Union Type C, the NSU R080, the Audi A2, and most notably one of this e-tron model's predecessors, the Mark III C3 era Audi 100, which was the sleekest car of its time. The A6 e-tron isn't quite that, but its ultimate 0.21 CD figure puts it close to the industry-leading Mercedes EQS and Tesla Model S. Visually, the cues are shared more with this car's Q6 e-tron sibling than with any previous A6, and the saloon body shape, which has characterised the A6 model line since the 70s, is absent. That's reserved for the combustion model, and it's replaced with this EV by this Sportback 5-door hatch body style, which has a rear roofline that drops away sooner than that of the alternative Avant estate. There are flush door handles, large e-tron branded lower door panels, and Audi's usual B-pillar model designation. Big wheels of 20 or 21 inches in size complete the effect. We've got the larger rims in this case, and as an option you can have the virtual exterior mirrors that we have here. That's an expensive option that few will want. That new Audi design language is most evident here at the front, where these narrow corner bonnet light strips look impossibly slim to house headlamps. They don't actually. These are incorporated almost invisibly in this black mask that surrounds the closed and inverted single frame grille. The closed off grille is there to emphasize the wide stance. The rear has a full width three-dimensional light bar with an illuminated 4-ring Audi logo. Digital light signatures feature with this top spec trim level, and the flagship S6 gets advanced shimmering tail lamps with OLED crystals. That new generation Audi design language is even more evident inside, so let's take a look. This was the first of the company's new era models to employ what the brand calls a soft wrap fabric panel flowing uninterrupted across the entire width of the dashboard. It's supposed to give an enveloping feeling of space, and as you'd hope, the overall effect can be satisfyingly high-end. Audi calls it a homely ambiance, but unless your home environment happens to resemble the front window of a Radio Shack store, you might struggle to agree with that. Spec up the cabin with everything, including this test car's 10.9-inch passenger side display and touch-sensitive virtual exterior mirror panels, and it is a wall-to-wall screen fest with a central focus being the digital stage that incorporates your drive info and media features and is supposed to resemble the single frame grille. As part of this, an 11.9-inch digital instrument display blends into a 14.5-inch curved control infotainment touchscreen. How happy you'll be with the luxury finish in your A6 e-tron will depend on how far up the trim level and options box hierarchy your budget is prepared to stretch, and whether you share Audi's penchant for the kind of smudge-worthy, shiny black plastic which decorates this strange lower console here, which falls away from you into a lower central open bin. Most versions of this car will be specified with a dynamic interaction light, which is one of those narrow light strips that stretches from the doors around the base of the windscreen and which lights up in your eye line to emphasize, well, anything from blind spot monitoring to incoming phone calls to powering down the car. Also likely to be fitted to most versions of this model is Audi's neat augmented reality head-up display. This projects a far virtual image, creating the impression that the elements that are shown there are floating up to 200 meters away. We mentioned the instrument display. After a decade of Audi's virtual cockpit screens, that design has at last been upgraded here. Although it is really hard to put your finger on where the improvements really are. Fiddly haptic steering wheel buttons control what you see here, with a central drive assist graphic flanked by outer boxes. The one on the left, that can show consumption, recuperation or trip data. The one on the right is for nav instructions, audio selections or phone settings. Everything else you'll need is on this Android Automotive OS-based central OLED touchscreen. It's a product of the brand's newly developed electronic architecture E3 tech, which is supposed to allow customers to experience vehicle digitalization more directly than was ever possible in an Audi before. This curved monitor has inhaled all the climate controls, although they are at least easily accessible in a band at the bottom of the display. There are shortcut options along the right-hand frame, and as is the current fashion, the home screen can display either in customizable widgets or with rows of little icons. You get wondrous graphics, and there's a self-learning Audi voice assistant used to control numerous vehicle functions, which understands more than 800 voice commands. Plus there's Alexa functionality, regular over-the-air updates, a wireless smartphone interface, and a store section too that gives customers access to a wide range of apps. This is basically a new era of infotainment provision, with features like a web browser, which could, for example, allow your passenger to reserve a hotel room for you through booking.com as you drive to your destination. All that happens through the touchscreen. This monitor also comes with the option of a thumping 16-speaker, 830-watt Bang & Olufsen premium sound system with speakers built into the front seat headrests. As long as you don't mind all the screen-based tech and all the touch-sensitive controls, which are particularly irritating actually on the steering wheel, there's not very much to fault ergonomically here. This door-mounted control panel works quite well, and we're thankful that, unlike Tesla, Audi still thinks you need a starter button, a gear stick and stalks for indicators and wipers. You might find these standard sports seats here a bit firm, and their lack of electric adjustment in a £70,000 car does seem a bit mean, but they are supportive and they certainly position you commandingly with good all-round visibility. At least there's plenty of cabin storage though. There is a decently sized glove box, and there are good sized door bins too. There's a deep lidded box between the seats here. The aforementioned bin at the end of the lower console has two USB-C ports, a 12-volt socket, a wireless charging mat, and there are two cup holders just behind. The lengthy wheelbase of this car's PPE platform should mean plenty of rear seat space. And pretty much that's what you get, with back seats staggered like theatre chairs, so those at the rear sit a little higher than those at the front. There's a slightly raised central floor section, but it won't impede a centre-seated adult too much if you need to carry one. If you have a version which is fitted with this smart panoramic glass roof here, which has neat switchable transparency, it's really nice that it stretches back over your head, but this feature does further reduce headspace, and that's already tight for taller folk with this Sportback body shape. The Avant body style, of course, is significantly better in that regard, thanks to its extra 40mm of rear roof height. There's an armrest here with cup holders, decent door bins, B-pillar vents, netted seat back pockets and rear climate controls. Out back, the powered tailgate rises to reveal a long, shallow load area, which is fairly unexceptional in size, although predictably it's better than directly competing i5 or EQE models, which are saloons. There's a 502 litre capacity in the Sportback, that's up to the parcel shelf. You might be disappointed to find it's not improved on by the Avant Estate version. There's not much space beneath the floor, but you get bag hooks, netted side recesses and an elasticated strap On the left, fold the 40-20-40 split rear bench, which unfortunately can't be done with cargo sidewall catches, and the capacity figure rises to 1,330 litres with the Sportback or 1,422 with the Avant. The bespoke platform also frees up a further 27-litre underbonnet frunk space, which is something that's missing in the i5 and an EQE, and that's ideal, of course, for stowing the charging leads. As we filmed in summer 2025, A6 e-Tron prices were starting from just over £62,000 for the smaller battery 83 kilowatt-hour model. For this car, the 100 kilowatt-hour performance spec rear-driven A6 e-Tron model that most will want, you'll need to budget from around £70,000. The dual motor Quattro model started from around £75,000 as we filmed. At the time of this test, the top S6 version was only offered in fully kitted out Edition 1 form at a fully kitted out price tag starting from over £98,000. Across the lineup, there's an £1,800 premium if you want to progress from the Sportback hatch we have here to the alternative Avant estate. Trim levels, they're primarily based around the usual Sport or S-line options, with this test car's Edition 1 spec introduced at the time of launch for those who want more features. To give you some wider Audi model perspective, at the time of our test, a combustion-powered A6 saloon started from around £55,000, but would cost much the same as an A6 e-Tron in e-hybrid PHEV form. What about EV class alternatives to this A6 e-Tron? Well, there are lots in the sector if you're happy with an SUV, but we're assuming you don't want one of those. Otherwise, you would instead be looking at Audi's similarly engineered Q6 e-Tron, priced from around £61,000 as we filmed. If you want the kind of more conventional body-shaped choice that we have here, then the only car in this segment that, like this Audi, can offer it with the alternative of an estate body style is the BMW i5. Now, the smaller battery A6 e-Tron 83 kilowatt-hour model competes most directly with the base version of the i5, the i5 eDrive 40. That matches the BMW's range figure, but it undercuts the Munich maker on price by about £6,000. As we've said elsewhere in this film, though, most A6 e-Tron sales will be of this mid-level, bigger battery 100 kilowatt-hour performance model. If you want to rival in this segment to match that, you'll need to switch your attention to the Mercedes EQE, which in base 350 plus form matches the Audi on price, but it's around 30 miles off it when it comes to EV range. If you're looking for a more left-field premium badged alternative in the segment, which isn't, of course, an SUV, we'd point you towards either the Lexus ES350e or the Genesis G80 electrified. They're both saloons. The next model up in Audi's EV range is also a saloon, the e-Tron GT Quattro. One of those, though, will cost from around £90,000. If, having considered all that, you're drawn to this A6 e-Tron, then you're going to want to know just how generous Audi has been here with the standard spec. So let's take a look at that right now. Base Sport trim gives you 20-inch wheels and the LED Headlights Plus package with high beam assist and also a range of light settings. That's along with the LED Rear Lights Pro setup with dynamic scrolling indicators. There is also a headlight cleaning system, illumination for the rear Audi rings, power folding mirrors, of course, Audi front glazing with a heat insulating windscreen, adaptive cruise control, all-round parking sensors, a Park Assist Plus setup which steers you into spaces, an anti-theft alarm and a heat pump. Inside with Sport spec, there's twin leather upholstery, which mixes faux leather with the real thing, front heated seats, 3-zone air conditioning, an ambient lighting setup. There's also a wireless phone charging mat, a surround view camera system, and an 11.9-inch Virtual Cockpit Plus instrument screen. Infotainment is taken care of by the 14.5-inch MMI touch display with navigation and 3D mapping, a 10-speaker 180-watt Audi sound system, and Audi Assistant voice control, which can connect to ChatGPT. This Android Automotive OS-based infotainment system can be embellished with a range of apps from the built-in online store. These include music, video, gaming, navigation, parking and charging, productivity, weather and news services. If you can stretch to smarter S-Line trim, Audi will include S-Line exterior styling, smarter 10-spoke Aero 20-inch Audi Sport wheels, rear privacy glass, branded front sport seats, a sport leather steering wheel, a black headliner and stainless steel pedals. Here though, as mentioned, we've got the top mainstream trim level, edition 1. This may or may not still be on sale by the time you view this film. That adds larger 21-inch wheels with red brake calipers, matrix LED headlights, an e-tron Sport driving sound, a black exterior package, digital headlight and tail lamp signatures, Dinamica leather upholstery, carbon and Dinamica microfiber dash and door inserts. There's an extra MMI front passenger display too, and a heated steering wheel, plus some extra safety features that we're going to cover off in a few moments. That only leaves the top S6 variant, which has, of course, its own bespoke specification. That includes 21-inch Audi Sport wheels, adaptive S air suspension, digital OLED rear lights, bespoke S exterior styling, and front seats in Audi's Sport Seats Plus design, trimmed in a combination of fine Napa leather and Milano leather. At the time of our test, the S6 was only being offered in top launch spec edition 1 trim. That includes an extra 10.9-inch front passenger display screen, ventilated and massaging front seats, a power latching system for the doors, and a panoramic glass sunroof with switchable transparency. The S6 spec also gets you what Audi calls its sound and vision pack. This is an important option, costing just over £3,000 more on all other A6 e-trons, and it's one you're probably going to want. That pack gives you an augmented reality head-up display, a 16-speaker, 830-watt Bang & Olufsen 3D premium sound system with 4 head restraint speakers, faster charging USB ports, and the brand's ambient lighting package plus. This includes a dynamic interaction light at the base of the windscreen there. If you stretch up to this test car's edition 1 spec, you'll also be offered the chance to further upgrade to the brand's Sound and Vision Pack Pro. This is what we have here actually, adding virtual exterior mirrors and a panoramic glass roof with that switchable transparency feature. Since we're now on to options, let's tell you that across the A6 e-tron lineup, you can specify a tow bar, but bear in mind, unless you select the only standard colour, which is solid magnet grey, you'll have to pay £775 more for your chosen paint shade. We've got Pearl Effect Daytona Grey here. With all mainstream A6 e-tron models, the key option that your Audi Centre will want you to consider is the Sound and Vision Pack for just under £3,000 more. Let's finish with a look at A6 e-tron standards of safety, which, as you'd expect, is well covered off. There's active front emergency brake assist with front cross traffic assist, front turn assist and swerve assist, plus lane departure warning with lane guidance and distance warning, a driver attention and fatigue monitor, and a traffic sign based speed limiter too, along with an adaptation to route ahead feature. Now this automatically adapts your speed for forthcoming corners and roundabouts. If you want more than that, then you'll need to stretch to top edition 1 or S6 spec. They both get the brand's assist package with warning system plus portfolio of extra features. These include emergency assist, which brings the car to a controlled stop if you're taken ill at the wheel, side assist, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic assist, rear turn assist, passenger exit warning, and proactive occupant protection for the front, side and rear, which braces the car to better withstand an impact. There are also clever driver assist features like traffic light information. This uses GPS data to adapt the car's speed to forthcoming sets of urban traffic lights. Across the A6 e-Tron lineup, there are of course all the usual passive safety features with a full complement of airbags linked to an e-core system, including an interaction airbag which stops the front two passengers from colliding together. And the result of all this is a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating with high scores, 92% for adult occupant protection, 91% for child protection, and an 80% safety assist score. Only the vulnerable road user score, 75%, was a bit lacking because not every model comes with the exit warning feature that stops passengers opening their doors in the face of oncoming vehicles and cyclists. Expect Audi to correct that very soon. Audi no longer wants to put a date on when it'll be an EV-only brand, but cars like this one demonstrate an increasing engineering readiness for that step. Take the electric motors in use here, which the Ingolstadt brand reckons are the most efficient in the industry. They highlight the way that these units feature dry sump oil cooling for better efficiency and management of heat. We gave you the headline result of all this efficiency technology in our driving section. WLTP quoted range for this 100 kilowatt-hour model of up to 464 miles. That's based on an on-paper efficiency rating of 4.4 miles per kilowatt-hour. That result is usefully better than the closest segment competitor can manage, the Mercedes EQE 350 Plus, at up to 422 miles. And it's enough to compensate for the fact that you obviously won't be achieving that quoted WLTP rated result in day-to-day motoring. We've been getting around 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour on this test. In fact, we suspect that to get really close to the quoted figure there, you would have to engage the screen selectable Extreme Efficiency Plus mode, which severely restricts both the climate control system and acceleration. This A6 e-Tron's standard inclusion of a heat pump, that's also worth mentioning. Audi says that it adds around 19 miles of extra range in really cold temperatures. Onto charging, for which helpfully the car provides ports on both sides, although only one port can accept the fastest DC charging rate. The main news here, as we told you elsewhere in this review, is a switch to an 800 volt architecture with the sophisticated PPE platform. This means that your A6 e-Tron can be DC charged at up to 270 kilowatts if you can find the right ultra rapid charger. At a fast enough charger, a 10 to 80% charge can be completed in just 21 minutes. Apparently, 197 miles of range can be added in as little as 10 minutes. The sophisticated electrical infrastructure means that this A6 can benefit from so-called bank charging. That means that at feebler public chargers of up to 135 kilowatts, which can't handle the PPE platform's 800 volt power, the Audi will split the battery in two and run each half at 400 volts, optimizing battery replenishment speed and efficiency, so charging will still be super quick. As for AC charging at home, well, for a full charge using a 7.4 kilowatt wall box, the base 83 kilowatt hour battery needs 12 hours or 8 hours and 15 minutes if you have an 11 kilowatt three-phase supply. Using a 7 kilowatt wall box, this performance model's 100 kilowatt hour battery needs around 15 hours for a full charge or 10 hours 15 minutes from an 11 kilowatt wall box. What else? Well, as usual with the EVs, insurance isn't going to be cheap. Groupings range from 43 for the base 83 kilowatt hour sport model to group 44 for this performance model, 48 for the Quattro version and 50 for the S6. But depreciation looks likely to be impressive, rated at 49 to 56% after 3 years and 36,000 miles. That's quite a lot better than a BMW i5 and significantly better than a Mercedes EQE. You may have to upgrade Audi's usual unremarkable 3-year 60,000 mile warranty though, but there is the usual 8-year 100,000 mile warranty for the battery. There's also a 3-year roadside assistance package. Service intervals, they're every 2 years, regardless of the mileage covered. That is significantly better actually than a rival Mercedes EQE, which has to return to the dealership for routine servicing much more frequently, every year or 15,500 miles. Lots of development went into this A6 e-tron, and you can imagine why. When this car was being engineered, Audi was telling the world at large it wouldn't be launching any more combustion-powered cars at all after 2026, and that put enormous pressure for success on its fledgling e-tron model line. Thankfully, common sense at Ingolstadt has since prevailed, and fresh combustion-powered Audis in this car segment will remain for quite a long time yet. So, would an open-minded executive choose this A6 e-tron in preference to them? Well, quite possibly. The cost increment to go from a petrol or diesel A6 into one of these isn't too great. And in this bigger battery form, driving range is almost at the point where a combustion customer wouldn't have to make too many usability compromises for ownership. In its class, this e-tron model compares very well to its EV segment rivals. They struggle to match this Audi's beautifully built cabin, and they lack this car's ultra-fast 800-volt charging system. Overall then, is this a pretty impressive CV? Well, you might well think so.